Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama 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 Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram.
Hare Krishna, Raju Prabhu, Laritman Prabhu, Mani Mataji, Rashmi Mataji, Nada Pranams, Sarvula Shishila
Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada. Thank you very much for joining today. We'll start. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmittamyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktananda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam pangam langayate girim kripatam hamande Shri Gurum Dinakwarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Mishram Om Apavitra Pavitra Vasarvam Sangatva Yasmaret Pundari Paksham Sabahya Abhyantaram Suchi Sri Vishnu Sri Vishnu Sri Vishnu. Let me read from this BG calendar. February 9. February 9. There are two verses there. 2.35 and 2.36. Second chapter 35 and 36 verses. भयाद्रानादुपारतं मांशन्ते त्वां महारथ येषां च त्वं बहुमतो भूत्वा यस्यसि लाघवम् भयाद्रानादुपारतं मांशन्ते त्वां महारथ येषां च त्वं बहुमतो भूत्वा यस्यसि लाघवम् अवाचा वादं शभाहुन् वदिष्यन्ति तवाहिता निन्दनस्तव समार्त्यायम् ततो दुःखातरं नु किम् अवाचा वादं च बाहुन् वदिष्यन्ति तवाहिता निन्दन्तस्तव समार्त्यम् ततो दुःखातरं नु किम्. Let me share this. 2.35 and 2.36, these verses translation. Let us quickly read. Let me share here. Yeah, please, Madhavi Mataji, Hare Krishna, you want to read? Can you please read? You are available? Okay. I am on hearing mode, Mataji. Okay, Rashmi Mataji in hearing mode. Okay. Raju Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Yeah. Text 35. The great generals who have highly esteemed your name and fame will think that you have left the battlefield out of fear only, and thus you will consider you insignificant. Text 36. Your enemies will describe you in many unkind words and scorn your ability. What could be more painful you? Hare Krishna.
Because, Krishna is saying Actually, Krishna is motivating. In another way, Krishna is motivating to Arjuna to fight. As a Kshatriya Dharma, he has to fight. Otherwise, what is going to think? What the people are going to think if you won't fight. The generals who have highly esteemed your name, fame will think that you have left the battlefield out of fear only. Out of fear only, battlefield వదిలేసి వెళ్ళిపోతున్నారు ఫీలింగ్. And thus they will consider you insignificant. తక్కువ అంచనా వేస్తారు. తక్కువ అంచనా తీసేస్తున్నారు అన్నమాట. Your enemies will describe you in many unkind words. తిడతారు. Many unkind words means తిడతాం. Scorn your ability. నీ శక్తిని ఇదంతా చూసి ఫైట్ చేయలేని మనస్తత్వం ఉండడం వల్ల ఇవంతా అందరు అంటారు అని చెప్తున్నాను. వాట్ కుడ్ బి మోర్ పెయిన్ఫుల్ ఫర్ యూ? ఇంతకు మించినటువంటి బాధ ఇంకేముంటది? నువ్వు దట్స్ వై యూ హ్యావ్ టు ఫైట్. ఇట్లా ఫస్ట్ అట్లా మోటివేట్ చేసి తర్వాత స్టిల్ కన్సిడర్ ఇంకా కన్విన్స్ కాకపోతే ఇంకా అప్పుడు మోర్ ఫిలాసఫీ, బాడీలీ కాన్సెప్ట్ ఆఫ్ లైఫ్, ద సోల్ కాన్సెప్ట్, డీపర్గా discussions. ఇది in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, this discussion happened 1 hour, just under 1 hour. Quickly, మొత్తం భగవద్గీత. They just spoken Telugu లాగా, spoken Hindi లాగా, spoken English లాగా, just spoken Sanskrit conversation. అది జరిగింది. So 1 hour time. Yeah. Yeah, we'll start. Okay. Today also we'll read Prabhupada Lilamrita. Let us read these translations, not singing. Let us read one. Vani Mataji, can you please read this? Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita. This song, Yadi Prabhupada Haito, that song. Please read this translation.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.
Srila Prabhupada, if Srila Prabhupada had not come, what would have happened? How could we have passed our lives? What else would have disturbed the unlimited mercy of Lord Nityananda and Lord Gauranga all over the world?
Read second.
Distributed. Second one is, which other compassionate person would have endeavored to deliver the miscreants, sinful, impersonalistic and voidistic people in the world?
The best. Thank you, Mataji. Mana Lalit Ma'am Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Read translations. 3, 4.
Text 3. Who else would have come to distribute the Harinam to them? Who else would have come forward to transform them into civilized beings? Okay. Enough, Prabhu?
Prabhu?
Inkovata. Text 4. Who else would have taught them how to worship the deity form of Lord Hari day and night with Arti Kirtan, and how to conduct the Rath Yatra and other grand festivals? Thank you.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Lavanya, please read 5th and 6th.
Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita contain the essence of nectarian mellows of love of Godhead. Who else would have explained these scriptures so clearly and beautifully?
6 also.
Who else would have tolerated all difficulties and distributed Harinama with a pleasant heart? Who would have given us the Dhamma such as Mayapur, Vrindavan and Jagannath Puri? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Raja Prabhu? Madhavi Mataji? Hare Krishna, I don't know. Are you ready to read? Madhavi Mataji?
Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam. 7 and 8, please read.
Yeah. The teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu constitute the greatest and most auspicious treasure. Who else would have engaged us in constantly practicing and preaching it? Sri Nittal Gaura are desired trees of love of Godhead. Desiring a drop of their mercy, Jaya Pataka's heart incessantly takes shelter of your divine grace.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you.
Yes, Mataji. So this is the thing. So today we are going to read the 13th chapter of Sri Prabhu Lilamrita, Volume 1, Butler, Pennsylvania, the first testing ground. So you can, who else would I have tolerated? Srila Prabhupada tolerated many difficulties. See, how he tolerated in this instance. at Butler, Pennsylvania. Okay, the first testing ground. So let us read. I will read this italics. By the grace of Lord Krishna, the Americans are prosperous in every respect. They are not poverty stricken like the Indians. The people in general are satisfied so far as their material needs are concerned, and they are spiritually inclined. When I was in Butler, Pennsylvania, about 500 miles from New York City, I saw there many churches and they were attending regularly. This shows that they are spiritually inclined. I was also invited by some churches and church governed schools and colleges, and I spoke there, and they appreciated it and presented me some token rewards. So italics means Srila Prabhupada words, actually Srila Prabhupada feelings. When I was speaking to the when I was speaking to the students, they were very eager to hear about the principles of Srimad Bhagavatam. But the clergymen were cautious about allowing students to hear me so patiently. They feared that the students might be converted to Hindu ideas, as is quite natural for any religious sect. But they do not know that devotional service of the Lord Krishna is the common religion for everyone, including even the aborigines and cannibals in the jungle. Let me see this word, this particular word meaning. Clergyman means what is a male priest, minister, religious leader, especially a Christian one. Christian one, okay. Somebody put message. Acha, Raju Prabhu also hearing mode. Okay, sure. So this is the Prabhupada's feeling. From a letter to Sumati Moraji. He has written a letter to Sumati Moraji. She has sponsored her. Jaladuta, the Scindia Steamship Company's owner. She sponsored ticket to go to US. She got this letter from Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada is sharing her feelings, how this, whatever my efforts are going in US. She's sharing to her. Yes, we'll continue here. Yeah. Just now, Puja and will ask, okay. Hare Vani Mataji, Hare Krishna. We'll start again.
The bus came swinging out of the terminal into the daylight of Midtown Manhattan, residing along in the shadows of
Riding.
Okay, sorry, Prabhuji, మళ్ళీ చదువుతాను నేను ఏదో పనిలో ఉండి ఇచ్చేసుకుంటున్నాను. Okay, the bus came swinging out of the terminal into the daylight of Midtown Manhattan, riding along in the shadows of skyscrapers. Though asphalt streets crowded with people, trucks and automobiles, and into the heavy traffic bound towards the Lincoln Tunnel. The bus entered the tunnel and emerged onto the Jersey side of the Hudson River, continuing down the New Jersey Turnpike past fields of huge oil tanks and sprawling refineries. The Manhattan skyline was on the left, while 3 lanes of traffic sped 60 miles an hour in each direction. Newark Airport came up close by on the right, with jets visible on the ground. Electric power lines spanning aloof between steel towers stretched into the horizon. Srila Prabhupada had never before witnessed anything of such magnitude. He was now seeing for himself that American culture was based on passion for more and more sense gratification, and it was a secret of madness. For what important business were people rushing to and fro at breakneck speed? He could see their goals advertised on the billboards.
Thank you, Mataji.
Okay, thank you.
Deepa Mataji, please read.
Yes, Prabhuji. Of course, he had many times traveled the road from Delhi to Vrindavan, but he did not have many advertisements. A traveler would see mostly the land, roadside streams, temples, homes, farmers in their fields. Most people went on foot or traveled by ox cart or bicycle. And in Vrindavan, even the ordinary passerby greeted each other by calling the names of God Jai Radhe, Hare Krishna. Now there were factories outside Delhi, but nothing like this. The cumulative effect did not pack nearly the materialistic punch of these fields of oil tank mammoth factories and billboards alongside the crowded superhighway. Meat eating, illicit sex, intoxication, and gambling, the very sins Srila Prabhupada, sorry, Srila Prabhupada had come to, sorry, one second.
Preached
The
against.
the very sins Srila Prabhupada had come to preach against were proudly glamorized on mile after mile of billboards. The signs promoted liquor and cigarettes. Roadside restaurants offered slaughtered cows in the form of steaks and hamburgers, and no matter what the product, it was usually advertised by a lusty looking woman. But Prabhupada had come to teach the opposite, that happiness is not found in the passion for sense gratification, and that only when one becomes detached from the mode of passion, which leads to sinful acts, can one become eligible for the eternal happiness of Krishna consciousness.
Continue, Mata. Continue.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Continue. One more paragraph.
Okay. Prabhupada felt compassion. The compassion of a Krishna conscious saint had been explained in an age long ago by Prahlad Maharaj. I see that there are many saintly persons indeed, but they are interested only in their own deliverance, not caring for the big cities and towns. They go to the Himalayas or the forest to meditate with vows of silence. They're not interested in delivering others. As for me, however, I do not wish to be liberated alone, leaving aside all these poor fools and rascals. I know that without Krishna consciousness, without taking shelter of your lotus feet, one cannot be happy. Therefore, I wish to bring them back to shelter at your lotus feet. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Madhavi Mataji. Madhavi Mataji, Hare Krishna. Okay. Lavanya, continue. Raju Prabhu and Rashmi Mata, they are in earring on each other.
Correct.
Continue.
Scene gradually changed to the Pennsylvania countryside, and the bus sped through long tunnels in the mountains. Night came, and it was late. After 11, when the bus entered the heavily industrialized Pittsburgh area on the shore of the Allegheny River, Srila Prabhupada couldn't see the steel mills clearly, but he could see their lights and their industrial fires and smoking stacks. Millions of lights shone throughout the city's prevailing dinginess. When the bus finally pulled into the terminal, it was past midnight. Gopal Agarwal was waiting for the family Volkswagen bus to drive Prabhupada to Butler, about 1 hour north. He greeted Prabhupada with folded palms and welcome. Welcome Swamiji, bowing from the west several times.
Continue.
This was not any of Gopal's doing. His father, a Madura businessman with a fondness for sadhus and religious causes, had requested him to host the Swamiji. This was not the first time his father had arranged for sadhu acquaintance to come to America. Several times he had spent sponsorship papers for Gopal to sign, and Gopal had obediently done so. But nothing had ever come of them. So when the sponsorship letter first A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami had come, Gopal had promptly signed and returned it, thinking that this would be the last they would hear of it. But then just a week ago, a letter had come. Sally Agarwal had opened it and then, in alarm, called to her husband, Honey, sit down, listen to this. The Swami is coming. Srila Prabhupada had enclosed his picture so that they would not mistake him. The Agarwals had looked curiously at the photograph. There all be no
There will
mistake.
be. There will be no.
No mistake there, Gopal had said. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Lalit Mohan Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes. The unsuspecting Agarwals were simple American people. According to Sally Agarwal, who had met her Indian husband while he was working as an engineer in Pennsylvania. What would they do with an Indian Swami in their house? Prabhupada was a shock for them. but there was no question of not accepting him. They were bound by the request of Gopal's father. Dutifully, Gopal had purchased Srila Prabhupada's ticket from New York to Pittsburgh and had arranged for an agent from Traveler's Aid to meet him. And dutifully, he had driven tonight to meet him. So it was with a mixture of embarrassment, disbelief, and wonder that Gopal Agarwal helped his guest into the Volkswagen and drove back home to Butler.
Continue, Prabhu. September.
Shall I continue, Prabhu?
Continue, Prabhu.
Okay. September 20, Butler, Pennsylvania, home of the Jeep. Read a granite plaque in the city park. Butler, famous as a town. Where the US Army Jeep was invented in 1940, was an industrial city of 20,000, settled amid the hills of an area rich in oil, coal, gas, and limestone. Its industry consisted mainly of factories of plate glass, railroad cars, refrigerators, oil equipment, and rubber goods. 90% of the local laborers were Native Americans. The nominal religion had always been Christian, mostly Protestant, with some Catholic. And in the later years, a few synagogues had appeared, but there was no Hindu community at that time. Gopal Agarwal was the first Indian to move to Butler. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Synagogue, without the meaning. Let me see what is the synagogues. Synagogue, the building
Prabhu,
where
the
a
Jewish temple,
Jewish,
Prabhu.
okay,
Synagogue.
JS assembly or congregation. Okay, okay. Synagogues. Okay. Thank you, Prabhu. Let me read. As the Volkswagen bus pulled into town, the pre-dawn air was warm and humid. The morning edition of the Butler Eagle would soon be going to be the newsstands. Red Chinese fire on India. Prime Minister Shastri declares Chinese communists out to dominate world. United Nations Council demands Pakistan and India ceasefire in 48 hours. That time, 1965, September 20. Srila Prabhupada arrived at the Agarwal's home, Sterling Apartments, at 4 a.m. And Gopal invited him to sleep on the couch. Their place, a townhouse apartment, consisted of a small living room, a dining room, a kitchen net, two upstairs bedrooms, and a bath. Here they lived with their two young children. The Agarwals had lived in Butler for a few years now and felt themselves established in a good society, in good social circle. Since their apartment had so little space, they decided that it would be better if the Swami took a room at the YMCA and came to visit them during the day. Of course, living space wasn't the real difficulty, it was him. How would he fit into the Butler atmosphere? He was their guest, so they would have to explain him to their friends and neighbors. Srila Prabhupada was immediately a curiosity for whoever saw him. In anxiety, Mrs. Agarwal decided that instead of having people speculate about the strange man in orange robes living at her house, it would be better to let them know about him from the newspapers. She explained her plan to Prabhupada, who laughed, understanding that he didn't fit in. Let me complete. Sally hurried off to a Pittsburgh newspaper office, but the interviewer wasn't able to comprehend why this person should make an interesting story. Sally then took him to the local Butler Eagle, where his presence was accepted as indeed newsworthy. They will continue here. Somebody join. Let me ask who is this. Sandhya Mataji, Hare Krishna, please start. Lady. Yeah, Hare Krishna, please read.
September 22nd, a feature article appeared in the Butler Eagle. In fluent English, devotee of Hindu cult explains commission to visit the West. A photographer had come to the Agarwal's apartment and had taken a picture of Srila Prabhupada standing in the living room holding an open volume of Srimad Bhagavatam. The caption read, Ambassador of Bhakti Yoga.
Continue.
The article began, a slight brown man in faded orange drapes and wearing white bathing shoes, stepped out of a compact car yesterday and into the Butler YMCA. YMCA means what, Prabhuji? YMCA.
Okay.
To attend a meeting. He is A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swamiji, a messenger from India to the peoples of the West. The article referred to Srimad Bhagavatam as biblical literature and to Srila Prabhupada as the learned teacher. It continued.
Read Mataji. One more paragraph.
My mission is to revive a people's God consciousness, says the Swamiji. God is the father of all living beings in thousands of different forms, he explains. Human life is a stage of perfection in evolution. If we miss the message back, we go through the process again, he believes. Bhaktivedanta lives as a monk and permits no woman to touch his food. On a 6-week ocean voyage and at the Agarwal apartment in Butler, he prepares his meals in a brass pan with separate levels of steaming rice, vegetables, and making bread at the same time. He's a strict vegetarian and is permitted to drink only milk, the miracle food for babies and old men, he noted. If Americans would give more attention to their spiritual life, they would be much happier, he says.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. He prepares his meals in a brass pan with separate levels for steaming rice, vegetables, and making bread. Yeah. Again, let us read one more time. Vani Mataji, please start.
Prabhu, that is still there. That steaming pot night is still there in Juhu.
Juhu temple unda ikkana Prabhu mana Vrindavan.
ఉంది ప్రభు
Juhu.
బృందావన్లో
Juhu ఆయన పర్సనల్ అపార్ట్మెంట్ లో కూడా ఉన్నాము.
అది
మేము వెళ్తూ ఉంటాం. ఎక్కువసార్లు
మ్యూజియం ఉంది కదా బృందావన్ లో. భక్తివేదాంత స్వామి స్టార్ట్ చేసిన అంటే వాట్ ఎవర్ పారాఫర్నాలియా వాట్ ఎవర్ యూజ్డ్ బై శిలా ప్రభుపాద అన్ని ఒక మ్యూజియం లాగా చేశారు భక్తివేదాంత స్వామి మ్యూజియం అని బృందావన్ కృష్ణ బలరాం టెంపుల్ అట్ సైడ్ కి
వెనకాల
లేదు చెప్పేసారా ఏం కాదు నువ్వు చెప్పేసారా అక్కడ ఏం కాదు మేము అది ఆడబెట్టు
రాజేష్ ప్రభు హరే కృష్ణ థ్యాంక్ యూ ఫర్
హరే
జాయినింగ్
కృష్ణ ప్రభుజీ
రీడ్ ప్రభు రీడ్
ప్రభుజీ
యా ప్రభుజీ మాతాజీ కాల్ చేసిన బట్ ప్రభుజీ జాయిన్ జస్ట్ నౌ
సరే ఓకే ప్రభుజీ అంటే నేను స్టార్ట్ చేయమన్నారా అని స్టార్ట్ చేయబోతున్నా ఇంకా
అవునవును లెట్ హిమ్ రీడ్ సిన్స్ హి జాయిన్ ఫస్ట్
ఓకే ప్రభుజీ
The Agarwals had their own opinion as to why Prabhupada had come to America to finance his books and nothing more. They were sure that he was hoping only to meet someone who could help him with the publications of the Srimad Bhagavatam and that he did not want any followers. At least they hoped he would not do anything to attract attention. And they felt that this was his mentality also. He did not create waves, Sally Agrawal says. He did not want to crowd. He did not want anything. He only wanted to finance his books. Perhaps Prabhupada, seeing their nervousness, agreed to keep a low profile out of his consideration of his posts. At Prabhupada's request, however, Mr. Agrawal held a kind of open house in his apartment every night for 6 to 9. Sally, it was quite an intellectual group that we are in, and they were fascinated by him. They hardly knew what to ask him. They did not know enough. This way, just like a dream out of a book, who would expect to meet a Swami in someone's living room in Butler, Pennsylvania? It was just really tremendous. In the middle of middle-class America, my parents came from quite a distance to see him. We knew a lot of people in Pittsburgh, and they came up. This was a very unusual thing, having him here. But the real interest shown in him was only as a curiosity.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Again, Vani Mata, start.
He had a typewriter, which was one of his few possessions, and an
Now, who is
umbrella.
saying this is the Sally Agarwal, Sally Agarwal's, whenever we see italics, somebody's their own, their own words. Sally Agarwal words. Read, Mataji.
Okay. He had a typewriter, which was one of his few possessions, and an umbrella. That was one of the things that caused a sensation, that he always carried an umbrella. And it was a little chilly, and he was balding. So he always wore this hat that someone had made for him, like a swimming cap. It was a kind of sensation. And he was so brilliant that when he saw someone twice, he knew who they were. He remembered. He was a brilliant man. Or if he met them in our apartment and saw them in a car, he would remember their name and he would wave and say their name. He was a brilliant man. All the people liked him. They were amazed at how intelligent he was. The thing that got them was the way he remembered their name and his humorous way. He looked so serious all the time, but he was a very humorous person. He was forbidding in his looks, but he was very charming.
Read.
He was the easiest guest I have had in my life because when I couldn't spend time with him, he chanted, and I knew he was perfectly happy. When I couldn't talk to him, he chanted. He was so easy. Though because I knew he was never bored, I never felt any pressure or tension about having him. He was so easy with that. When I had to take care of the children, he would just chant. It was so great. When I had to do things, he would just be happy chanting. He was a very good guest. When the people would come, they were always smoking cigarettes. But he would say, pay no attention, think nothing of it. That's what he said, think nothing of it. Because he knew we were different. I didn't smoke in front of him. I knew I wasn't supposed to smoke in front of Gopal's father. So I sort of considered him the same. He didn't make any problems for anybody.
Titikshva Karunika Sautanama. Titikshva Karunika, that's a pure devotee's consciousness. Prabhupada is filled with those qualities. Peaceful, tolerant, wonderful. Haribo. Thank you, Mataji. Madhavi Mata, Hare Krishna, please read.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, please read.
The evening a guest asked Prabhupada, what do you think of Jesus Christ? And Prabhupada replied, he is the Son of God. Then he added that he, the guest, was also a Son of God. Everyone was interested to hear that the Swami accepted Jesus Christ as the Son of God. Gopal, his intent was not to have you change your way of life. He was not telling anybody they should be vegetarian or anything. All he wanted you to do was to follow what you are, but be better. He didn't stress that we should give up many things. Shall I continue, Prabhu?
Continue, please, continue.
Srila Prabhupada followed a regulated daily schedule. Every morning he would walk the 6 or 7 blocks from the YMCA to Sterling Apartments, arriving there about 7. When he had first landed in New York, he had in his luggage a large bundle of dried cereal similar to rolled oats. The supply was enough for several weeks, and every morning at breakfast he would take some with milk. At 7:45, Gopal would leave for work, and around 9:30, Prabhupada would start preparing his lunch in the kitchen. He made his chapatis by hand without even a rolling pin. He worked alone for 2 hours, while Mrs. Agarwal did housework and took care of her children. At 11:30, he took prasadam.
Thank you, Mataji. See, everything is there. What he did. Amazing story. Amazing. So thank you, Mataji. Somebody joined. Let me ask. In between, first Mata is coming with them. Deepa Mataji, please continue.
Yes, Prabhuji. Sally. When he cooked, he used only one burner. The bottom level pot created the steam. He had the dal on the bottom, and it created the steam to cook many other vegetables. So for about a week, he was cooking this great big lunch, which was ready about 11:30, and Gopal always came home for lunch about 12. I used to serve Gopal a sandwich, and then he would go back to work. But it didn't take me long to realize that the food the Swami was cooking we'd enjoy too. So he started cooking that noon meal for all of us. Oh, and we enjoyed it so much. Our fun was to show him that we knew of America, and he had never seen such things. It was such fun to take him to the supermarket. He loved opening the package of okra or frozen beans, and he didn't have to clean them and cut them and do all those things. He opened the freezer every day and just chose his items. It was fun to watch him. He sat on the couch while I swept with the vacuum cleaner, and he was so interested in that. And we talked for a long time about that. He was so interesting. Hare Krishna.
You continue, Mataji. Her words.
So every day he'd have this big feast, and everything was great fun. We really enjoyed it. I would help him cut the things. He would spice it, and we would laugh. He was the most enjoyable man. I really felt like a sort of daughter to him, even in such a short time. Like he was my father in law. He was a friend of my father in law, but I really felt very close to him. He enjoyed everything. I liked him. I thought he was tremendous. Hare Krishna.
Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. First, he attracted, Sally Agarwal with his behavior, with his way of living. Very good. Now, Lavanya, continue.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. After lunch, Prabhupada would leave about 1 p.m. and walk to the YMCA, where the Agarwals figured he must have worked at his writing until 5. He would come back to their apartment about 6 in the evening after they had taken their meal. They they ate they ate meat, so Mrs. Agarwal was careful to have it cleared away before he came. When one night he came early, she said, "Oh Swamiji, we have just cooked meat, and the smell will be disagreeable to you." But he said, "Oh, think nothing of it. Think nothing of it." Haribol.
Continue. Yeah. But it's
In the
cool. Smell, that's okay. Ignore it.
In the evening, he would speak with guests. The guest would usually take coffee and other refreshments, but he would request a glass of warm milk at night at 9 o'clock. He would stay speaking until 9:30 or 10, and then Mr. Agarwal would drive him back to the YMCA.
Continue.
Father would also do his own laundry every day. He washed his clothes in the Agarwal's bathroom and hung them to the dry outside. He sometimes accompanied the Agarwals to the laundromat and was interested to see how Americans washed and dried their clothes. To Sally, he seemed very interested in the American way and people.
Haribol. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Lavanya. Yeah. Will Prabhu's Chandraval Prabhu, you join. Start. Chandraval Prabhu, Hare Krishna, you there?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes.
Yeah, Charlie. Our boy, Briz was 7 months old when the Swami came. And the Indians love boys. The Swami liked Briz. He was there when Briz first stood. The first time Briz made the attempt and actually succeeded, the Swami stood up and clapped. It was a celebration. And that time our baby teethed on the Swami's shoes. I thought, oh, those shoes, they have been all over India, and my kid is chewing on them. You know how your mother would feel? Almost every night, he used to sit in the next door neighbor's backyard. We sat out there sometimes with him, or we stayed in the living room. One time, something happened with our little girl, Pamela, who was only 3 years old. I used to take her to Sunday school, and she learned about Jesus in Sunday school. Then, when she would see Swamiji with his robes on and everything, she called him Swami Jesus. And this one time, when it first dawned on us what she was saying, she called him Swami Jesus, and Swami smiled and said, "And a little child shall learn them." It was so funny. Prabhupada spoke to various groups in the community. He spoke at the Lions Club in early October and received a formal document. Be it known that A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami was a guest at the Lions Club of Butler, PA, and as an expression of appreciation for servants rendered, the club tenders his acknowledgement. He also gave a talk at the Y at the Saint Fidelis Seminary College in Herman, Pennsylvania, and he spoke regularly to guests at the Agarwal home.
Arriva, Pennsylvania. Oh, that he started preaching YMCA, different places, different communities, Lions Club, YMCA, and this one, Y and etc. That college also. Arriva. The beginning of that is preaching. Yeah. I forgot Mother. Sunday Mata, please read. Hare Krishna, Mata. Okay. Lalit Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Shut up.
Shall I? Okay. When Professor Larson, the chairman of philosophy department in Slippery Rock State College, read in the Butler Eagle of a visiting Indian Swami and Vedic scholar, he phoned the Agarwal's home to invite Prabhupada to lecture on campus. Alan Larson. I called the number given in the newspaper article, but it turned out that the Swamiji was actually staying in a room at a YMCA. When I arrived, he was waiting on the street corner, and I picked him up. He seemed very much alone. When we were driving to Slippery Rock, I asked him to pronounce his name for me, so I would have it right when I introduced him in my class. Him to my class, okay? Yeah. He said, Swamiji Bhakti Vedanta. And then he proceeded to tell me what that meant. Since I was not used to the Indian names, he had to repeat it several times before I got it right. He showed no impatience with my slowness. Even at this early junction of our association, I was convinced that this man had an inner stability and strength that would be very difficult to shake. And this initial impression was further reinforced throughout the rather busy day. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you so much. Yes, Mata, I called you. Sunday Mata, read some of the paragraphs.
A 100 students from several classes had gathered to hear the lecture as Prabhupada, in his natural, unrehearsed manner, walked down the
Hazel.
aisle up the 3 wooden steps and onto the plain wooden stage. He sat down erect and cross-legged and began softly singing Hare Krishna, his eyes closed. Then he stood and spoke without a lectern or microphone and answered questions from the audience. The program lasted only 50 minutes and ended abruptly with a bell signaling the next class.
Continue this paragraph.
Yes, Prabhuji. Alan Larson, after the first class, I had a short conversation with the Swamiji while sitting outside on a bench on the campus lawn. Most of the time, when he was not directly engaged in conversation, he would repeat a short prayer while moving prayer beads through his fingers. He was sitting up cross-legged and we were speaking back and forth. He said that the trees around us were beautiful and he asked, "What kind of trees are these?" I replied, "They are shade trees." Then he said that it was too bad they weren't fruit or nut trees to provide food and benefit people.
Thank you, Mata.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Rajesh Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji. 1 second. At 1 o'clock, Prabhupada lectured again. Afterward, he accompanied Dr. Mohan Sharma, a member of the faculty who had attended the lecture, and his 16 years old daughter, Minnie, to Dr. Sharma's campus residence. Prabhupada accepted warm milk and dried fruit, and at Dr. Sharma's request, blessed his home and touched the forehead of his daughter in a gesture of benediction. Around 3 o'clock, Professor Lauren drove him back to the butler, Alan Lawrenson. The Swamiji seemed to present himself as an Indian scholar who had come for a short time to do translation work. I never thought of him as a missionary, but during the course of the day, there grew in me a warm affection for his man, because he was unmistakably a good man who had found his way to a stability and peace that is very rare. The lectures in Pennsylvania gave Prabhupada his first reading of how his message would be received in America. At Commonwealth Pier in Boston, he had stated in his poem, I am sure that when this transcendental message penetrates their hearts, they will certainly feel gladdened and thus become liberated from all unhappy conditions of life. Now, this principle was actually being tested in the field. Would they be able to understand were they interested? Would they surrender? Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. We will finish another 5 minutes. It won't take much time. Let me read some. October 15, Srila Prabhupada received a letter from Sumati Morarji in Bombay. Pujya Swami, Sumati Morarji writing to Srila Prabhupada. Pujya Swami, I am in due receipt of your letter dated the 24th ultimo and glad to know that you have safely reached the USA after suffering from seasickness. I thank you for your greetings and blessings. I know by now you must have recovered fully from the sickness and must be keeping good health. I was delighted to read that you have started your activities in the States and have already delivered some lectures. I pray to Lord Balakrishna to give you enough strength to enable you to carry the message of Srimad Bhagavatam. I feel that you should stay there until you fully recover from your illness and return only after you have completed your mission. Here everything is normal. With respects, yours sincerely, Sumati Morarji. Prabhupada regarded the last line of this letter as especially significant. His well-wisher was urging him to stay in America until he had completed his mission. He had told the immigration officials in New York that he would be staying in America for 2 months. I have 1 month's sponsorship in Butler, he thought, and then I have no support. So perhaps I can stay another month. So he had said 2 months. Sumati Morarji, however, was urging him to stay on. He saw the prospects for preaching to the Americans were good, but he felt he would need support from India. Okay. So now we'll continue. Just a few more paragraphs, you can complete this chapter also. Yeah. Now any devotees, please read. No, I'm not going to speak. Any devotee, unmute yourself. Raju Prabhu and Rashmi Mother, you are still in reading mode, hearing mode. Raju Prabhu, Rashmi Mother. Okay. Okay. So please read. Anybody?
Shall I go, Prabhu?
Go ahead.
At any rate, he had spent long enough in Butler, and he now had 1 month left in America. So he decided to go to New York City and try to preach there. Before his time was up, but first he wanted to visit Philadelphia, where he had arranged a meeting with Sanskrit professor Dr. Norman Brown at the University of Pennsylvania. Mrs. Agarwal was sorry to see him go. Sally, after a month, I really loved Swami. I felt protective in a way, and he wanted to go to Philadelphia. But I couldn't imagine, I told him. I couldn't imagine him going to Philadelphia for 2 days. He was going to speak there and then to New York, but he knew no one in New York. Okay. If the thing didn't pan out in Philadelphia, he was just going to New York, and then there was no one. I just couldn't imagine. It made me sick. Thank you, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, any Prabhu or any Mata, please read.
I will read it. I remember the night he was leaving, about 2 in the morning. I remember sitting there as long as he could wait before Gopal took him to Pittsburgh to get on the bus. Gopal got a handful of change, and I remember telling him how to put the money in the slot so that he could take 1 second. so that he could take a bath at the bus station, because he was supposed to take a bath a few times a day. And Gopal told him how to do that and told him about the atomites in New York. He told him what he could eat and what he couldn't eat. He gave him these coins in a sock, and that's all he left us with.
Continue.
Shall I continue?
Yeah, continue.
Yeah. As a sannyasi, Srila Prabhupada was used to picking up and leaving one place for another. As a mendicant teacher, he had no remorse about leaving behind the quiet life of the butler YMCA, and he had no attachment for the domestic habitat where he would cook and talk with Sally Agarwal about vacuum cleaners, frozen foods, and American ways.
Thank you, Mataji. Last three is three. Anybody likes to finish? Hariva?
Can I read, Prabhuji?
Yeah, read.
But why had he gone to Butler? And why was he going to New York? He saw it is Krishna's place. As a pure devotee of Krishna, he wanted to be an instrument for distributing Krishna consciousness. His stay in Butler had been helpful. He had gotten first-hand experience of American life, and he gained confidence that his health was strong and his message communicable. He was glad to see that America had the necessary ingredients for his Indian vegetarian diet and that the people could understand his English. He had learned that casual one-time lectures here and there were limited value, and that although there would be opposition from the established religions, people individually were very much interested in what he had to say. On October 18, he left Butler via Philadelphia for New York City.
Yes, we'll stop here. Thank you very much, Mataji. So next chapter we'll continue. Struggling alone. So this is another amazing and heart-wrenching story in New York City. Struggling alone. So we will continue after regular reading Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita. So this time we took 2 chapters of Lilamrita, volume 1, 12 and 13. Okay, the journey to America, and then here in this chapter, the Butler, Pennsylvania, testing ground. Okay, he met some people. He spent some time at Gopal Agarwal and Sally Agarwal's home. So it's there in the documentary, Hare Krishna, the movement, the Swamiji, that movie is there. You can see the personalities. Thank you so much. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada Lilamritam ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna. So now we'll start our Sloka recitation practice. So let me share. 1 second. Yeah, Bhakti Vaibhakti. Okay. Yeah. So Prabhupada is exemplified all these qualities. Yesterday we recited Titikshva Karunika Suhruda Sarvadehina Ajada Shatrava Shanta Sadhava Sadhu Bhushana. Srila Prabhupada is a Sadhu Bhushana. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The symptoms of a sadhu are that he is tolerant. How he much tolerant, in their home, Gopal Agarwal and Sally Agarwal home, when meet and different situations. Merciful and friendly to all living in a friendly nature that attracted to Sally Agarwal. So she's feeling bad when he left from their home, because she liked Srila Prabhupada very much. Friendly nature, friendly to all living. He has no enemies. He is peaceful. He abides by the scriptures and all his characteristics are sublime. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you. So we'll continue another verse, 25, 3.25, 25. Actually, we practice chesina Prabhu ee verse. Satam prasanga mama veerya somewhere.
25 we didn't read, Prabhuji.
Practice cheyalada? Okay. Adi kaadu mana anchor slokas lo somewhere we did this one.
No, Prabhuji, we haven't done this.
Cheddam
I don't remember doing it actually.
Yes, Veera Cheddam. Ippudu cheddam. Chain Prabhu. Chepi. Yes.
But then very important was Prabhu. Yeah. Both these verses, both the verses are important actually. One speaks about the qualities of a sadhu. The other speaks about what happens when you associate with sadhu. Okay. So 21 speaks about the qualities of a person who is a sadhu or who is a Vaishnava. And 25 speaks about what happens when you touch him or when you just have an association of him. When you have a conversation with him, what happens? Actually, that speaks, that is discussed in the 25th verse.
Yes, Prabhu.
Probably it can be done in many ways, but I will do normal way probably. Okay. Satam prasangan mama virya samvido. Okay. What does this line mean? This line means when you associate to such holy persons or saintly persons, what happens? Mama virya samvido. My wonderful activities are discussed. Okay. Bhavanti hrit karna rasayana katha. What happens? Bhavanti means what happens while hearing that powerful qualities of mind or powerful stories of mind, wonderful activities of mind. What happens? Hriday karana means ear and heart. Rasayana. Rasayana means it will be very, very pleasing. Though that stories are very, very pleasing. Then what happens? Tat joshanadasva. Okay. You will be cultivating this culture of hearing about Krishna Katha. Okay. By having an association of such saintly persons. Then what happens? Apavarga Vartmani. The path for liberation. Apavarga means liberation. Vartmani means that path. The path for liberation. Shraddharatir Bhaktir Anukramishati. Anukramishati means will follow in order. Okay, Shraddha means faith. And Rati means attraction. Towards what? Bhakti. So all these things will follow in order. When you associate with a devotee or a Vaishnava or a sadhu. Okay, Vaishnava sadhu, when you associate with him, what happens? He will discuss about Krishna, he will speak about Krishna. When he speaks about Krishna or discusses his activities, what happens? Bhavanti hrit karna rasayana katha. You'll develop a taste or attraction to listen that stories again and again. And what happens while hearing that? Tat joshnad apavarga vartmani. The path for liberation will be very easy through what? Shraddha means faith. Shraddha means faith. Ratir means attraction towards bhakti. Okay. Ultimate thing is you will achieve bhakti. Okay. So these are the 4 lines of this verse. A very important verse regarding the association. Okay. Of course, there are many shlokas in Bhagavatam about the importance of association. One of which is this thing, Kapil. Lord Kapila describing the importance of association. And there are Prahlad Maharaj, and there are many other instances where the association of a pure devotee is always emphasized in Bhagavatam. What happens here in this shloka? What he is speaking? What is Lord Kapila speaking? Bhavanti hrit karna rasayana katha. Okay. First, they will only speak that this Vaishnavas, they only speak about Krishna, because of which the attraction develops. When the attraction develops, what happens? The path of liberation will be very easy by having firm faith on it, and by ratir, by getting attracted to it. What happens? Bhakti will be very, very easy, and you will get liberated. Okay. So 2 devotees can read synonyms and 2 devotees can read translation. Hare Krishna, am I audible?
Yeah,
Yes,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna.
Go ahead, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I'll read Sinan. Yeah. Titikshavaha, tolerant. Karunikaha, merciful.
Mataji,
Suhrida.
not that sloka,
Okay,
Mataji.
yes, 25. Okay.
Yeah.
SB 3.25 synonym. Satam, of pure devotees. Prasangat, through the association. Mama, my. Virya, wonderful activity. Samvidha, by discussion of. Bhavanti, become. Truth, to the heart. Karna, to the ear. Rasa, rasavanaha, pleasing. Katha, the stories. Tad, of that. Joshanath, by cultivation. Ashu, quickly. Apavarga, of liberation. Vartamani, on the path. Shraddha, firm faith. Rati, attraction. Bhakti, devotion. Anukramishati, will follow in order. Shall I continue translation or another devotee will take? Prabhuji?
Mataji, two devotees we can read synonyms. Two devotees can translate, Mataji. So I will read synonym. Satam, of pure devotees. Prasangat, through the association. Mama, my. Virya, wonderful activities. Samvidaha, by discussion of. Bhavanti, became. Hrut, the heart, to the heart. Karna, to the ear. Rasa ayanaha, pleasing. Kataha, the stories. Tat, of that. Josnath, by cultivation. Asu, quickly. Apavarga, of liberation. Vartamani, on the path. Shraddha, firm faith. Rati, attraction. Bhakti, devotion. Anukramishati, will follow in order. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Two devotees can go with the translation.
Translation. In the association of pure devotees, discussion of the pastimes and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and the heart. By cultivating such knowledge, one gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation, and thereafter he is freed, and his attraction becomes fixed. Then real devotion and devotional service begin. Hare Krishna.
Okay. One more devotee.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Go ahead.
Translation. In the association of pure devotees, discussion of the pastimes and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and the heart. By cultivating such knowledge, one gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation, and thereafter he is freed and his attraction becomes fixed. Then real devotion and devotional service begin. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Okay. So there are
Prabhuji,
some.
I think one more paragraph is there for this translation, Prabhuji. I think there is one more paragraph is there for translation.
Is it Prabhu?
Yeah, Prabhu. Actually, I seen the lot couple of book. I read even day before yesterday. I think can I read, Prabhu, that 4 lines?
What is it, Prabhu?
Thus consciously engaged in devotional service in the association of devotees, a person gains distaste for sense gratification, both in this world and in the next, by constantly thinking about the activities of the Lord. This process of Krishna consciousness is the easiest process of mystic power. When one is actually situated on that path of devotional service, he is able to control the mind. There is one more paragraph is there.
Actually, we are following a Bhagavatam, Prabhu. So in
Oh, sorry,
Bhagavatam,
Prabhu.
it is only
Okay,
till this
Prabhu.
thing.
Okay, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. So there are some bit tougher words in this, one or two. I will just repeat them. Please repeat after me. Okay. Tajjoshanadasva.
Tajjoshanad Aswa.
Hare Krishna. I request everyone to repeat it because afterwards it will be tough to repeat these words in the shloka. Tajjoshanadasva.
Tajjoshanad Aswa.
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 Anukramishati.
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 Okay. Now
Right.
we will go line by line 3 times, then 2 lines together 3 times, then the whole shloka 3 times. Please repeat after me. Okay. Satam prasangan mama virya samvido.
Satam
Satam
prasangan mama
prasangan mama
virya
virya
samvido.
samvido.
Satam prasangan mama virya samvido.
Satam prasangan
Prasangan
mama
mama
virya
virya
samvido.
samvido.
Satam prasangan mama virya samvido.
Satam prasangan mama
Prasangan mama
virya
virya
samvido.
samvido.
Bhavanti hritkarna rasayana katha.
Bhavanti
Bhavanti
hrutkarna
hritkarna
rasayana
rasayana
katha.
katha.
Bhavanti hritkarna rasayana katha.
Bhavanti
Bhavanti
hrutkarna
hritkarna
rasayana
rasayana
katha.
katha.
Bhavanti hritkarna rasayana katha.
Bhavanti
Bhavanti
hrutkarna
hritkarna
rasayana
rasayana
katha.
katha.
Tajjoshanadas
Tajjoshanaada
Tajjoshanadas
swapavargavatmani.
Tajjoshanadas
Tajjoshanaada
Tajjoshanadas
Tajjoshanadas
Tajjoshanaada swapavargavatmani.
Shraddharatirбhaktiranukramishyati.
Shraddharati bhaktiranukramishti.
Shraddharatirbhaktiranukramishyati.
Shraddharati
Shraddharatirbhaktiranukramishyati.
bhaktiranukramishti.
Shraddharatirbhaktiranukramishyati.
Shraddharati
Shraddharatirbhaktiranukramishyati.
bhaktiranukramishti.
Okay, now 2 lines together 3 times. Satam prasangan mama virya samvido bhavanti hritkarna rasayana katha.
Tatam prasangan
Prasangan
mama
mama
virya
virya
samvido.
samvido bhavanti
Bhavanti
hritkarna
hritkarna
rasayana
rasayana
katha.
katha.
Satam prasangan mama virya samvido bhavanti hritkarna rasayana katha.
Satam
Satam
prasangan
prasangan
mama
virya
virya
samvido
samvido.
bhavanti hritkarna
Bhavanti
rasayana
rasayana
katha.
katha.
Satam prasangan mama virya samvido bhavanti hritkarna rasayana katha.
Satam
Satam
prasangan
prasangan
mama
mama
virya
virya
samvido.
samvido bhavanti
Bhavanti
hritkarna
hritkarna
rasayana
rasayana
katha.
katha.
Tajjoshanadas Shraddharatirbhaktiranukramishyati.
Tajjoshyanadasva
Tajjoshanadarshvapavagadvartmani
apavardhavatmani. Shraddharatirbhakti
Shraddharatirбхaktiranukramishti.
anukramishyati.
Tajjoshanadas Shraddharatirbhaktiranukramishyati.
Tajjoshyanadasva
Tajjoshanadarshvapavagadvartmani
apavardhavatmani. Shraddharatirbhakti
Shraddharatirбхaktiranukramishti.
anukramishyati. Kramishyati.
Tajjoshanadas Shraddharatirbhaktiranukramishyati.
Tajjoshyanadasva
Tajjoshanadarshvapavagadvartmani
apavardhavatmani. Shraddharatirbhakti
Shraddharatirбхaktiranukramishti.
anukramishyati.
Okay, now whole shloka 2 times. From the third time, we will be starting practicing individually. Satam prasangan mama virya samvido bhavanti hritkarna rasayana katha. Tajjoshanadas svapavargavatmani shraddharatirбхaktiranukramishyati.
Satam
Satam
prasangan
prasangan
mama
mama
virya
virya
samvido
samvido
bhavanti
bhavanti
hritkarna
hritkarna
rasayana
rasayana
krata.
katha.
तज्जोषणादस्वपवर्गवर्त्मनि
तज्जोषणादस्वपवर्गवर्त्मनि
श्रद्धारतिर्भक्तिरनुक्रमिष्यति
ततां प्रसंगा मम वीर्य संविदो भवन्ति हृत्कर्णरसायना कथा तज्जोषणादाश्वपवर्गवर्त्मनि श्रद्धारतिर्भक्तिरनुक्रमिष्यति
सतनां
प्रसङ्गान् मम
प्रसङ्गामवीरसंविदो
वीर्यसंविदो भवन्ति
भवन्ति
दुर्कर्णरसायना कथा
कर्णरसायनकथा
तज्जोषणदास्वपवर्गवर्त्मनि
तज्जोषणादस्वपवर्गवर्त्मनि
श्रद्धारतिर्भक्तिरनुक्रमिष्यति.
श्रद्धारतिर्भक्तिरनुक्रमिष्यति.
Yeah, now those devotees who are doing that Bhakti Vaibhav can go along with translation, and others can read only Sloka. Okay, can recite only Sloka. Go ahead one by one. Our Giriraj Prabhu, you can lead the part now. Thank you. Giriraj Prabhu, are you there?
Sorry, Prabhu. Chapan Prabhu, ఏమైంది?
Prabhu, మీరు లీడ్ చేయండి Prabhu.
Yeah. See, help yourself, unmute yourself and practice. Okay. So first Bhakti Vaibhava. Let me recite. 3.25.25. Satam prasangan mama virya samvido bhavanti hritkarna rasayana katha tacchoshanad asva apavargyavatmani Shraddharatir anukrami shyati Shraddharatir anukramishyati. Translation by Srila Prabhupada Gita. In the association of pure devotees, discussion of the pastimes and the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and the heart. By cultivating such knowledge, one gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation, and thereafter he is freed and his attraction becomes fixed. Then real devotion and devotional service begin. Reborn. So all of you do it next. Vani Mataji, if you Raj Prabhu there, please do with the translation, and all other devotees quickly do sloka recitation. Help yourself, unmute, and quickly do this. Okay. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I'll go first, Prabhu. Satnam prasangan mama viya samvido bhavanti hritkarna rasayana katha tacchoshanadashva apavagavatmani shraddharatir anukrameshyati. Translation. In the association of pure devotees, discussions of the pastimes and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and the heart. By cultivating such knowledge, one gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation, and thereafter he is freed and his attraction becomes fixed. Then real devotion and devotional service begin. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. I'll do it. Satam prasangan mama virya samvido bhavanti hritkarna rasayana katha tacchoshanada swapavargavartmani shraddharatir Translation. In the association of pure devotees, discussion of the pastimes and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and the heart. By cultivating such knowledge, one gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation, and thereafter he is freed and his attraction becomes fixed. Then real devotion and devotional service begin. Hare Krishna.
I will recite now. Satam prasangan mama virya samnido bhavanti hritkarna rasayana katha tacchoshanada swapavargavartmani Shraddharatir Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Satam prasangan mama virya samvido bhavanti hritkarna rasayana katha तज्जोषनाद स्वपवर्गवर्त्मनि श्रद्धारतिर्भक्तिरनुक्रमिष्यति. Thank you so much, Raj.
सतां प्रसङ्गान् मम वीर्यसंवितो भवन्ति हृत्कर्णरसायनकथा तज्जोषनादा स्वपवर्गवर्त्मनि श्रद्धारतिर्भक्तिरनुक्रमिष्यति. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Lavanya Mataji, can you please go ahead? Hare Krishna. Lavanya Mataji, are you there?
It's okay, Prabhu. She's a little bit busy. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay. We'll Andhra అయిపోయినట్టేనా? I think done. Rajesh Prabhu done?
Not yet, Prabhuji. Just I thought of starting, but you told Lavanya Mataji, so I stopped.
Jain.
Hare Krishna. Tatam prasangan mama virya samvido bhavanti hrutkarna rasayana kataha tajjoshanadasva apavarga vartmani Shraddha Ratir Bhakti Anukramishyati. Hare Krishna.
Jai. Thank you very much, Rajesh Prabhu. ఇంకా అందరూ అయిపోయినట్టేనా? Done, I think. Okay. Thank you so much. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyavach patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo. Nandra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai.
Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. We'll connect
Jai.
on no weekends. Weekends we have common calls, so we'll connect on Monday. So have a happy Krishna conscious weekend.
Prabhuji,
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hansini birthday kada Prabhuji. We'll pray for her.
Yeah. Please pray for her. She is in school. Please pray for her. Thank you so much. Please 3 times Hare Krishna mantra for her spiritual life as well as material education, SSC board exam. Please pray for her. 3 times Hare Krishna mantra. Okay.
Hare Krishna. Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Hare,
Hare
Rama
Rama,
Hare
Rama,
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Hare,
Rama,
Hare
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 Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
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 Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare,
Rama, Hare
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you for please keep us in your prayers. We'll also pray for all of you. Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Thank you very
Prabhuji.
much, Prabhuji.
Hare
Dandavat
Krishna,
pranam.
Dandavat pranam.